Dear brothers and sisters, we welcome all of you here on this Sunday afternoon. We pray that each and every one of you has a wonderful, wonderful life in front of you. I thought today we should talk about what is life and see if we can get to some answers that make sense to most of us. I wanted to relate a story. This story is coming from the future. So there was this queen, and this queen was very close to the people, and people were very, very happy with her because she took care of the people. She was very giving to them. She made sure that the people in the queendom were all happy. They had jobs, they had work, they had nice lives to live. And so people really loved her. So anytime she was out on the carriage going around her palace, anyone who saw her would say, "Long live the queen." And every time she would go here and there, she would hear, "Long live the queen," and "Long live the queen." And so one day, as she's going out, she's thinking to herself, what does "long live the queen" mean? And most of the queens are smart, but they have a smart cabinet of people to help them. That's where they get smarter. So she figured out she might not know the answer. So she called her cabinet of ministers and asked them the question, what does "long live the queen" mean? And can someone explain to me, what is this life about, and what is this "long live the queen" business? So now the ministers are sitting together, and now they're saying, how do we, formulate into one answer? And they had a tough time doing that, and they're saying, this is not an easy question to answer. We need more help. So what happened? The minister said, okay, let's go to everyone living in the queendom, and let's ask them this question and see, we'll have them raise their hands and come up and see what answers we get. So they made an announcement that everyone should gather in the palace, and we want to ask you this question about what is life and what does "long live the queen" mean. So on a certain day, everyone gathers there. They brought the queen there too. And one person raises a hand. It's a young woman. And so, they ask her, what do you do? She says, I'm a scientist. Someone says, okay, she's a scientist, she must know what she's talking about. Okay. So they ask her, what is life all about? So she said, when I look at this planet, and I'm a biology major, and I find that there are human beings living here, there are animals living here, there are plants living here. So life has to be like all of them breathe. That you breathe, you grow, and then you reproduce, because that's how all the generations keep on going on. So she said to me, life is like breathing and growing and to be able to reproduce so that, things keep on going on for future generations. Then she was asked, so how do you make life long? And she said, we want to make sure that our breathing is done properly, so that the human body is getting the breaths because it needs them, that the food that we eat and the water that we drink should be good, and that we need to be able to lead lives which are simple and pure, so that we can keep reproducing as we go forward in this life. And so they say, this is a very good answer. So they ask, does someone have some other answer? So another person raises their hand. Say, what do you do? He says, I'm a doctor. Say, a doctor? Why? He must know what life is all about. He's seeing so many patients all the time. She said, whatever the young lady said is all good, But I just want to add that when you breathe and when you grow, like when you're eating and drinking water, and when you reproduce, it should be done in a healthy way. So they asked him, what do you mean a healthy way, and how can you make life to be elongated or lengthened? So he said, we need to be sure that the air is not polluted. He said, we need to have a vegetarian diet, because that's the best healthy diet that you can have. And he said, the water that we drink should be clean, and we should make sure that we don't contaminate the water by throwing all kinds of plastics and other things in the water, that we need a mechanism that we drink clean water. And then he says, we need to make sure that the babies that come in our life, that we take good, healthy care of them, that they are nourished properly, they are kept in a nice environment, so that they grow to be good, healthy young adults. And so the people said, oh, this is a good answer. Is there anyone else has an answer? So one guy comes up and they say, what do you do? He says, I do nothing. He said, what do you mean you do nothing? He says, I don't do any work. He said, what do you mean you don't do any work? He seems like a young person. So how are you surviving? He says, no, I don't do any work. I just sit, I close my eyes and I meditate. I don't do any work, I just meditate. And so they said, okay, so what is your answer to this question? He said, I don't know what the answer is, but I have this one verse from one saint called Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj. So he said, I have this verse, and this explains what life is all about. And so I thought if I would repeat this verse to all of you, that you would also understand what life is all about and how we can lead our life in the best possible manners. So Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj, who wrote much about spirituality, wrote much about the human life and our connection with the Creator, who wrote many, many verses about different aspects of our growth, of our living here, of our being able to use the time that we have here to the best possible manners. So he says, Amado Shuddh ko nafaz ki zindagi kyun kar kahein? Amado Shuddh को नफस की ज़िंदगी क्यों कर कहें, ज़िंदगानी तो शाऊरे ज़िंदगी का नाम है, कि ज़िंदगानी तो शाऊरे ज़िंदगी का नाम है. So when we translate this into English, it is, why call the coming and going of breaths as life? Because many people feel, as long as we breathe, we are alive. As the breathing ends and the heart stops, we say we're dead. So, because most people believe that, and that they feel like life is, as long as you're breathing, you're alive, you're living, and you can live life in many manners, and you can understand it could be different. But most people think of life as just breaths coming. As long as they're coming, we're okay. When they'll stop, then we're physically gone. So he's saying, why call the coming and going of breaths as life? Life is a name for spiritual realization. Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj is telling us that life has been given to us to realize ourselves spiritually. We need to recognize that the physical existence that we all think is our real existence, that the number of breaths that are coming and going which have been given to us are only at the physical level. And when we have the understanding that the end of our physical life is not the end of our existence, it is then that we understand the words, long live the Queen. When this life ends, it's just the end of our physical vesture, of our physical clothing, of our physical being. It's not the end of our existence, okay? And our life goes on and on and on. And once you realize that, then you realize that our life is not ending when the physical end of a life comes. And so, to get to that understanding, we need to realize who we really are. We need to realize that what we see on the outside, what we see in the mirror, is not who we are. That's just our existence at the physical level. That there are dimensions beyond the physical. That our true existence is also not at the level of our emotions. Okay? Because many people take life to be emotions, and those who take life to be emotions are in a roller coaster because the emotions are going up and down. All day long they're going up and down. Even as you drive, your emotions going up and down. Someone's cutting you off, someone's not driving as fast as you want them, you can have blocked into trucks or something. So emotions will go up and down, and life is also not like our mental states. And our mental states change with time too. And we find that happening to many, many of us. Stress and strain become a part of life. Our true existence is at the level of a spirit or a soul. And till we understand that, or till we realize that we are soul, we are conscious being, we are a part of God, life is just lived at these outer levels. Level of the physical body, level of our emotions, and level of our mental states. Yeah. And so, Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj here is telling us that we need to get to the state where we realize that we're beyond the physical, mental, emotional states. That our true existence at the level of a soul. And that soul needs to be nourished. And that soul, just like the physical body needs to be nourished, that soul needs to be focused on God. And this is why God has given us this human birth. The whole purpose for us being alive, and there are about 8 billion people on this earth around this time, so each and every one of them has an opportunity to realize themselves. Now, we definitely have 75% karma from the past that will play out in our lives, but we all have 25% free will. So those who use the free will to go towards God, or to know God, or to be focused on God, or to be grateful to God, or to remember God, are the ones who then are going to get to truly understand what the purpose of this life is and fulfill its purpose. And so Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj is telling us that life is a name of spiritual realization, that this life that we have, for each and every one of us, is a state in which we can truly realize who we are. And that realization comes in when our single or a third eye is opened, when we have a chance to go within, when we can rise above physical body consciousness, when we are able to soar into the inner spiritual regions. As we soar into the spiritual regions, when we experience the divine light and sound of God, that we are transported from the physical to the astral, and then the causal and the supercausal, and then to Sachkhand, where all the coverings which are surrounding our soul have been removed. And as these coverings are removed from us, the original state of our being shines forth. And as the original state shines forth, then we are able to experience ourselves as we truly are. Not at the level of the physical body, not at the level of emotion, not at the level of mental state, but as soul, as a being full of love, as a being which is totally conscious, as a being which is all-knowing, because in that state we see ourselves as an extension of God, as a part of God. And that experience can happen to each and every one of us. The key is to be able to practice the technique by which we can rise above physical body consciousness. And those techniques are called meditation. And there are other names for it: sitting in silence, inversion, praying with attention. These are various names to similar techniques. But the key is to realize that this physical existence is limited. It's timed. It'll end one day. But that's not the end of our existence. Our soul is going to live beyond the physical existence. And in the human body, all the faculties which are required by us to know ourselves have been provided. And saints and mystics have said that those who focus on the spiritual arena in this very lifetime, that their growth is much, much faster than what it takes if let's say, you've gone to the first plane or the second plane or the third plane and you're stuck there. It takes you much longer there to be able to get to your goal than it does when we are in the physical body. And you find that in writings of many, many saints. So they've all tried to stress the importance of this existence, and they try to stress that this is the time when we need to focus on God. Now, how do you focus on God? Because generally, if you close your eyes and sit in silence, you're bombarded by thoughts. This is where repeating God's name or Simran or being focused on God comes into play. That as we repeat God's name mentally, that our attention goes on God. And as our attention goes on God, then we will be able to take steps towards God. And then we'll be connected with the divine light and sound, which are the two primal manifestations of God, which are reverberating within each and every one of us. So the key is to be able to be in that state of remembrance of God as much as we can. So Simran can be done like during the day, when we're not doing any mental activity. And there are many physical activities that we can do. And so as we're doing those activities, we can be focused on God. And as we focus our attention on God, then we find that the revelations of the divine starts to happen within ourselves. We can read about the characteristics of God. We can hear about God, but unless we experience it ourselves, we are not going to be able to realize God. So Sant Singh Ji Maharaj would often say that spirituality cannot be taught. Like you can go to classes and have lectures on God or spirituality. He said it cannot be taught. And it cannot be bought. It's not that we give tons of money and say, okay, I'm going to give you $1 million and you make me spiritual. It doesn't work like that. He said it cannot be taught, it cannot be bought. But it can be caught from someone who's one with God. It can be caught from someone who's spiritually evolved. And this is why the relationship between a disciple and the spiritual master is talked about so much as we look into history, as we read the writings of the great saints and mystics. That the attention of the spiritual master, when it's imparted to the disciple, which happens at the time of the holy initiation, it's that attention which opens our third eye or the single eye or the Shiv Netra or the Dasmadwar. It opens the gateway to the inner spiritual regions. And then, this is just the beginning, it's not the end. Then we need to practice daily so that we enhance the connection that has been made for us, so that we make use of that connection and we experience ourselves more and more and more at that spiritual level. So, irrespective of our faith, irrespective of whatever work we do, irrespective of whatever we've been educated in, we all can know God. God is available to each and every one of us. The key is, what passion do we have to know God? How much attention do we put on God? And so as we focus our attention on God, as we passionately want to realize God, then we find that answers start to come in our lives. And as we go on the spiritual journey, it's revelations of the divine that make us realize who we are. And as we go on the journey within, a journey of love and a journey of light, things are much more loving and caring. Things are much more beautiful on the journey. And Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj very beautifully talked about the spiritual journey in one of the verses. He says, "Khak se taba kya kasha, हमने तो जब किया सफ़र, इश्क मिला कदम कदम, हुस्न मिला नज़र नज़र." He said, when I traveled from the earthy to the heavenlies, I found love at every step and beauty in every glance. So the journey within is a journey of love. And this is why when you read the scriptures, you'll find that most scriptures tell us that those who love are the ones who find God. Because God is an ocean of all love, our soul being a drop of the ocean also full of love. And the saints have said that the way back to God is also through love. So as we go on this spiritual journey, we experience the love of God more and more and more. And the beauty is that love is something that as we experience it, then we start to share with others. And the more we share love, the more our reservoir of love starts to be filled. So that's very interesting. And so as from inside we become more loving and caring, it reflects on our life on the outside. And we find that life on the outside starts to get better and better and better for everyone else who we are living with. So the key is to be able to have that experience by ourselves. And those who do have the experience, they know for themselves the connection with the divine power. And so as we start to think about life, this life is a gift of God. It's been given to us to be able to merge our soul back in God, to realize ourselves spiritually. So this life has been given to us so that first we recognize who we are, that we are soul, which is self-realization, and then we have that soul go on the spiritual journey, on the travels within, so that the soul can merge back in God, so that we're off the wheel of transmigration. And that is the true purpose of this existence, and the great saints have been all talking about that is what this life is all about. There are many ups and downs in life that will come based on our karma. There will be many distractions in life because there are so many distractions in the world outside. We'll get pulled in this direction or that direction, that's a part of life. Okay? But if our focus is in the right arena, and Sant Kripal Singh Ji Maharaj, who realized that there is so much distractions in this world that no one can meditate 24 hours a day. So he gave a leeway. He said, okay, if you meditate for 10% of the time, then you're okay. Okay. But that's the minimum. So he said, if you can meditate more, so much the better, you get there quicker. So he talked about 10% time, which is like 2.5 hours. It seems like a lot of time, but look at the time it takes for you to take a shower, look at the time we spend eating, and I think if you look at all the time that you spend eating and taking a shower and getting dressed to work, it has to be over 2.5 hours. Okay? Because, I mean, you're not like gulping food like that. You want to take your time, especially if you want to eat healthy, take like half an hour, 45 minutes, at least maybe an hour on each meal. And then, if you're running to work, I'm sure you're eating very quickly. But if you eat properly, it's a lot of time if you, take a shower or something. So all of that takes time, And so if you think of it, 2.5 hours is not that much. I mean, we spend so much time doing so many things which maybe don't bring us any gains. And so if we are to focus our attention on God, during those times we'll find that our purpose in this lifetime is going to be fulfilled, and we get closer and closer to God. So life needs to be lived by each and every one of us. Based on our karmas, each and every one of our life is going to be different. Yeah. But then we can all be on the same wavelength to know God. Even though our outside signs are different, our families would be different, our relationship would be different, and our finances would be different, our other things in life would be different, but our goal is one and the same. And so if we have a passion to reach God, if we understand what the purpose of this life is, then we want to fulfill it. And so to fulfill the very purpose for which we've come into this world is to be able to meditate, to be able to sit in silence, to be able to connect with God. And then only can we grow spiritually. By reading books after books after books, we never get there. Okay? By listening to talks after talks after, we won't get there too. We have to sit. The saints have said that your father or your mother cannot do this work for you. They help out in many, many other things, but they cannot meditate for us. We all have to meditate by ourselves. We each have to meditate on our own. And the responsibility to meditate is on our own being. So we need to find the time, we need to set our schedules up, we need to, in whatever lifestyle we have, we need to find the time to go towards the goal. And many people have done that, and many people are doing that, and we all can get there. And so as we find the time, then we'll be able to fulfill the very purpose for which we all have been given this human existence. So let us just meditate for a few minutes. There's nothing better than meditation. Please sit as comfortably as you can. Close the eyes very gently, just like you close them when you go to sleep. Your eyeballs should be straight, focused 8 or 10 inches in front of you. And as you close your eyes, those of you who've been initiated in the mysteries of the beyond, please do your Simran. And those of you who are new here, please repeat any name of God that you feel comfortable with. This repetition should be done mentally and not out loud. I pray to God Almighty and to the three great spiritual masters of the past century, Hazrat Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj, Param Sant Gopal Singh Ji Maharaj, and the Alpurush Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj, to help each and every one of us connect with the divine power within and to experience the divine light in its effulgence. We'll be sitting for a few minutes. I'll be getting you out of this meditative state, and my best wishes are with each and every one of you. Please leave off. Please leave off.